I hate you. I love you. Chapter 1. The first rays of sunlight peeked through the window, casting a warm glow over the room where Matt lay, half asleep. His alarm clock blared, snapping him out of his slumber. Today, like every school day, began with a familiar routine: a quick shower, a hurried breakfast, and a glance at the clock that always seemed to be moving too fast. As he rushed out the door, backpack in tow, Matt couldn't help but smile at the thought of seeing his friends on the school bus. They had been riding together since middle school, and now, as high school seniors, their bond was an unspoken pact of friendship and shared memories. At the bus stop, he was greeted by the usual scene. "Morning, folks," Matt called out, his voice breaking through the morning chill. Mike, with his ever-present grin and disheveled hair, was recounting the weekend's adventure with his uncle in the garage. Mike looked up, his grin widening. "Hey, Matt, guess what happened at the garage this weekend?" "Not sure I want to know, Mike," Matt quickly replied. Carol, Mike's cousin, her eyes bright with a mix of enthusiasm and sleepiness, offered a warm smile. "Morning, Matt. How's it going?" Carol's clothes, flashing against her dark complexion, were more than just a fashion statement. They were an extension of her artistry. Bold, bright, and often unconventional, her outfits mirrored the strokes of paint that danced across canvases. She had a unique ability to blend patterns and hues in a way that captivated the eyes like her artwork. "How are you, Matt?" Mary briefly acknowledged, glancing up swiftly with her earbuds nestled in her ears, creating a partial barrier from the world around her before returning her attention to her podcast. Mary, strikingly beautiful in a way few seemed to notice, had always chosen to conceal this aspect of herself behind a serious demeanor, large glasses, and oversized clothes. Matt felt a familiar tug in his chest. He always hoped for more from Mary. He respected her dedication, though sometimes he wished she would look up from her books and see the world around her, and perhaps see him. Matt cherished the insightful conversations he had with Mary about life, environmental concerns, and social issues. Their discussions were always rich and thought-provoking, reflecting Mary's intellect and depth. However, Matt found himself wishing for something more, a connection that went beyond intellectual debates and discussions. He longed to delve into the realm of personal experiences and emotions, to truly understand Mary on a deeper, more personal level. The bus arrived, its doors opening with a hiss. The group filed in, taking their usual seats at the back. As the bus trundled along, the conversation flowed easily among them, except for Mary, who had put aside her earphones in favor of a printed copy. "Amor fati," Matt called out, hoping to catch her attention. "What's that?" "You love fat chicks," Mike interpreted. Mary, momentarily pausing from her reading, looked up with a hint of surprise. "Didn't expect you to delve into Stoic philosophy, Matt." "That Marcus Aurelius makes a lot of sense." Matt quickly followed, hoping he had garnered her attention. Mary nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "True, but I make my own fate, Matt." With that, she returned to her book, leaving Matt watching her with a mixture of admiration and longing. Mike launched into a detailed account of his escapade involving a mischievous cat and a can of paint. Carol laughed, her eyes lighting up with amusement, while Matt chuckled, adding his own witty commentary. As they neared the school, Matt glanced out the window, lost in thought. These morning rides were the highlight of his day, a time when the four of them were together, away from the pressures of school and life's expectations. He treasured these moments, knowing they wouldn't last forever. As the bus pulled into the school parking lot, the friends gathered their belongings. "See you at lunch," Carol asked, a hopeful note in her voice. "Wouldn't miss it for the world," Matt replied, his gaze lingering on Mary, who was already heading off to her first class. With a final wave, they went their separate ways, stepping into another day of high school life, unaware of the changes and challenges that lay ahead. Matt watching Mary walk away, her figure getting smaller in the distance. He turned and walked toward his class, the laughter and chatter of the school hallways echoing around him, a mix of excitement and apprehension for the day ahead. Chapter 2. The final bell of the day rang, sending a wave of relief and excitement through the corridors of Lincoln High. Students spilled out of classrooms, their conversations and laughter mingling in the air. For most, the end of the school day meant freedom. But for Mary, it was just a transition to another phase of diligent work. Mary gathered her books, her mind already racing through the list of tasks she had to complete, studying for an upcoming test, a meeting with the debate team, and, most importantly, working on her application for the prestigious Ashton Scholarship. The scholarship was her ticket to a top university, a dream nurtured and encouraged by her high-achieving parents. As she walked through the hallway, she passed by the notice board, pausing to glance at the announcement for the art club's latest project. She admired the creativity of her peers, but quickly moved on, her thoughts returning to her own goals. Meanwhile, at the other end of the school, Carol was packing up her paints and brushes in the art room. Her passion for art was more than just a hobby. It was her escape, her way of expressing the emotions and stories that words couldn't capture. The art room, with its splashes of color and the smell of paint, was her sanctuary. Outside, Matt and Mike leaned against the school fence, waiting for Carol. Mike was animatedly discussing his latest misadventure, which had earned him a stern warning from the principal. "You've got to be more careful, Mike," Matt said, half amused and half concerned. "One of these days, your luck's going to run out." Mike shrugged, his carefree attitude unfazed. "It's all in good fun. You worry too much, Matt." Carol emerged from the building, her art supplies in tow, ready to head to the park. She asked, her eyes brightening at the prospect of their usual after-school hangout. The three friends set off, the familiar path to the park a well-trodden route in their routine. As they walked, they chatted about their day, the upcoming school events, and plans for the weekend. Meanwhile, Mary sat in the library, surrounded by books and papers, her focus unwavering. She was determined to expel, to live up to the expectations set by her family and herself. The library was her battleground, and she was armed with intellect and ambition. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the park, Matt looked at his phone, considering whether to message Mary. He decided against it, not wanting to disturb her studies. Instead, he silently wished she were there with them, sharing in the simple joys of their youth. Mary finally closing her books, a sense of satisfaction mixed with exhaustion. She glanced at her phone, half expecting a message from her friends, but found none. With a resigned sigh, she packed her things and headed home, her path illuminated by the fading light of the day. Chapter 3. The weekend arrived with a promise of relaxation for most students at Lincoln High, but for Mary, it was another opportunity to delve deeper into her studies. Her room was a stark contrast to the usual teenagers, neat, organized, and dominated by a large desk where her future was being meticulously planned. In another part of town, Carol was in her element, her garage turned art studio, a whirlwind of creativity. Canvases of various sizes were scattered around, each telling a different story through bold strokes and vibrant colors. This weekend, she was working on a piece for the upcoming school art exhibition, a project close to her heart. Meanwhile, Matt was at home, juggling chores and looking after his siblings. His mother worked weekends, and he had become the de facto guardian. Despite the responsibilities, he found joy in making sure his home ran smoothly and his siblings were cared for. Mike, on the other hand, was at his uncle's garage, a place where he felt most like himself. The garage was cluttered and smelled of oil and metal, a stark contrast to the orderly environment of school. Here, Mike learned the value of hard work and the satisfaction of fixing something with his own hands. As the day progressed, Carol found herself struggling with a particular aspect of her painting. Frustrated, she decided to take a break and reached out to Matt, knowing he was always a source of calm and practical advice. Matt, happy for the distraction, invited her over. Carol arrived with her painting, and the two spent the afternoon in light conversation, with Matt offering his thoughts on her art. Their bond over shared interests and mutual respect was evident, an unspoken understanding growing between them. In the library, Mary was pushing herself to the limit, the weight of her ambitions and expectations heavy on her shoulders. She paused for a moment, her thoughts drifting to her friends. She wondered what they were doing, but quickly pushed the thought away, reminding herself of the bigger picture. As evening approached, Mike finished his work at the garage. He sent a group message to his friends, proposing a spontaneous movie night. Matt and Carol agreed, but Mary, buried in her studies, didn't respond. As the evening unfolded, Matt's living room was filled with the sounds of laughter and light-hearted banter, a stark contrast to the intense focus and silence of the library where Mary spent her evening. Matt had extended the invitation to Mary as well, but she had declined, citing a need to concentrate on her studies. Matt, Carol, and Mike reminisced about their past adventures, shared jokes, and discussed plans for the upcoming weekend. Their conversation was easy and carefree, yet each of them felt the absence of Mary. Her presence, always a grounding force, was noticeably missing, leaving a void in their usual dynamic. Carol, lounging on the couch, chuckled at a story Mike was animatedly recounting. "Remember the time when Mary convinced the principal to start a recycling program? She was so determined," she said, her laughter tinged with fondness. Matt smiled, his thoughts drifting to Mary. "Yeah, she's always been passionate about things she cares about." "We miss that energy tonight." Mike nodded in agreement, tossing a pillow casually across the room. "She's probably acing another test or writing an award-winning essay as we speak." Despite their attempts to keep the mood light, there was an undercurrent of concern for Mary. They knew her dedication to her studies was unparalleled, but they also missed her companionship and the balance she brought to their group. The room, filled with mementos of their shared memories, echoed with their laughter, but the unspoken thoughts about Mary's absence hung in the air. The evening at Matt's house, usually a time for unwinding and bonding, was now a reminder of the subtle shifts happening within their circle. As the three friends eventually said their goodbyes, each heading home with a sense of lingering incompleteness. The laughter and chatter of the night couldn't fully mask the gap left by Mary's absence. Her dedication to her studies, while admirable, had unwittingly created a distance that they all felt keenly. As the night drew to a close, the lights in Matt's house dimmed, mirroring the bittersweet end to an evening that was both joyous and reflective. Mary, taking a brief break, saw the missed messages and felt a pang of longing. She stared at her phone, torn between joining her friends and her unwavering commitment to her goals. After a moment of hesitation, she turned off her phone and went back to her books, the silence enveloping her once more. Chapter 4. On a bustling Monday morning at Lincoln High, Mary, Matt, Carol, and Mike started their day amidst the lively energy of their peers. While Mary was known for her unwavering focus on academics, Matt and Carol's friendship flourished in their shared classes through mutual interests and collaborative projects. The highlight of the day was the announcement of participants for the upcoming school art exhibition, which included Carol's name. Her friends, particularly Mary, were proud and excited. In a spontaneous gesture, Mary proposed an outing to celebrate Carol's artistic achievement. "Your artwork deserves recognition, Carol." "Let's go out and celebrate it," Mary suggested, showing an eagerness to honor her friend's success. Carol, thrilled by the idea, happily agreed. "I'd love that, Mary. Thank you." During their time together, Mary inquired about Carol's artistic inspirations, showing genuine interest in her creative process. "What inspires you to create such beautiful pieces?" she asked, her admiration for Carol's talent evident. Carol, encouraged by Mary's curiosity, shared her motivations and the emotions behind her art. "I try to capture the beauty in everyday moments. The things people often overlook," she explained with enthusiasm. Mary expressed her deep respect for Carol's artistic abilities. "Artists have a unique way of seeing the world. It reminds me of the great minds like Leonardo da Vinci, true visionaries." Carol, modestly deflecting the comparison, playfully teased Mary. "I might not be a genius, but I can tell when someone has a crush on you, Mary," she said with a wink, lightening the mood. Mary, having an inkling about whom Carol might be referring to, chose to play along with a feigned ignorance. "I'm not sure what you're referring to," she responded, her tone playful yet cautious. Carol, aware of Mary's sharp intellect, didn't buy into her act. "Come on, Mary. I may not be as smart as you, but anyone with eyes can see it," she replied, gently pushing Mary to acknowledge the unspoken truth that she believed was apparent to everyone around. Mary laughed off the suggestion. "Matt and I are just friends. My focus is on my studies, nothing more." The conversation then shifted as Carol, curious about Mary's own drive, asked, "What motivates you, Mary? What's behind your determination?" Mary paused, reflecting on her answer. "It's not just that my parents are high achievers. I have a personal determination to not just live in their shadow. I want to make my own name, my own impact," she shared, revealing a glimpse of her inner drive and ambition. Their evening was a blend of celebration, laughter, and deep conversations. Mary's decision to honor Carol's artistic success brought them closer, deepening their understanding of each other. As the evening drew to a close and they prepared to leave, Carol encountered an unexpected problem. Her car refused to start. After a few attempts, it was clear that the issue was beyond a quick fix. Carol called Mike, who arrived with his uncle to pick up her car for repairs. Mary, seeing Carol's predicament, offered a solution. "Don't worry, Carol. I'll give you a ride home tonight," she said, readily stepping in to help. As they drove, Carol expressed her concern about not having a car for an art show the following night. "You don't have to worry about that. I'll make sure you have a ride for your art show." "We'll figure it out together," Mary promised, her tone comforting. The drive home was a mix of gratitude and relief for Carol, and a reaffirmation of friendship for both of them. Despite the setback with the car, The support and camaraderie they shared made the challenges seem less daunting. The unexpected turn of events had brought them closer, showcasing the depth of their mutual support and understanding. The night ended with a sense of accomplishment and the comfort of knowing that they had each other's backs, no matter what the future held. Chapter 5. Mary was looking forward to taking Carol to her art show, a promise she had made and intended to keep. She appreciated Carol's art and wanted to be there to support her friend on this important day. However, her parents had different plans for her. They had arranged a meeting with a consultant who specialized in scholarship applications, an opportunity too significant for Mary to pass up, considering her aspirations. Reluctantly, Mary called Carol to explain the situation. "Carol, I'm so sorry, but I have to cancel our plans for the art show. My parents arranged a last-minute meeting with a scholarship advisor. It's important for my application," Mary said, her voice tinged with disappointment. Carol, though understanding, couldn't hide her concern. "That's okay, Mary. I understand," she replied, her worry evident. The news of Mary's cancellation and Carol's predicament quickly reached Matt. Sensing an opportunity to help, he immediately offered his assistance. "Hey, Carol, I heard about the change of plans. I can give you a ride to the art show if you'd like," Matt proposed, eager to support his friend. Carol, relieved and grateful for the offer, accepted. "That would be amazing, Matt." "Thank you so much." The evening of the art show arrived, and Matt picked up Carol, both of them eager to witness the display of creativity and talent. As they wandered through the gallery examining various pieces, a particular artwork caught Carol's attention. It was a captivating piece that seemed to speak volumes about the painter's view of the world, a world rife with hate and oppression, yet the vibrant colors suggested an underlying current of hope. She leaned in closer to the artwork, her eyes tracing the intricate details of the piece. She observed the bold brush strokes that swept across the canvas, the interplay of geometric shapes creating a sense of turmoil. The way the brush strokes clash and intertwine suggests a struggle. "The geometry here," she said, pointing to the sharp angles that cut through the swirls of color. "It's like a visual representation of conflict. And these colors, the reds and blues, they feel like manifestations of passion and melancholy. It's as if the artist is trying to find peace amidst chaos." "I definitely see the conflict," Matt agreed. "But it's not just the world. It's his own demons." He pointed to a spiral that cut through the swirls of color. "I can't explain it, but it is as if his struggle with the world comes crashing down on him, turning him into something he doesn't want, but has to become to survive." His voice carried a tone of contemplation, reflecting the depth and complexity he perceived in the artwork. Carol looked at Matt, surprised and impressed by his insight. She had always known him to be caring and supportive, but this depth of thought revealed a new side to him. Her heart warmed to this newfound understanding of Matt's character. Carol, eager to hear Matt's thoughts on another piece, guided him to the next exhibit. "So what's your take on this one?" she asked with curiosity. Matt turned his attention to the new artwork, but as he did so he felt a growl in his stomach, reminding him of his unaddressed hunger. With a light-hearted grin he joked, "Well, this piece clearly represents the eternal dilemma of someone trying to decide between pizza and burgers." His playful comment was a humorous detour from the more serious interpretations they had been sharing, bringing a moment of levity to their art gallery experience. Later that night, as Matt drove Carol home, the conversation drifted back to the painting, that piece we saw earlier about facing conflict alone. Do you ever feel that way? Carol asked tentatively. Matt nodded, his expression somber. Yeah, I know what that's like. It's why I try to be there for others. No one should have to face their battles alone, he shared, his voice sincere. Turning the playful conversation back to Carol, Matt asked, "What about you? Ever had to decide between pizza and burgers?" Carol, taking a moment to ponder the question, responded with a hint of depth in her voice. Sometimes, no matter what choice you make, you lose something precious to you. Her reply, seemingly lighthearted on the surface, carried an underlying tone of seriousness, hinting at the more significant choices and sacrifices one faces in life beyond mere food preferences. The drive home was filled with a comfortable silence, each lost in their thoughts, reflecting on the evening's discoveries. As Matt's car pulled up in front of Carol's house, the night was quiet, the kind of quiet that invites reflection. Before stepping out of the car, Carol turned to Matt and, in a spontaneous gesture, gave him a tight hug. "You're a good guy, Matt. Some girl is going to be very lucky to have you one day," she said earnestly, her words filled with genuine appreciation for his kindness. Matt, taken aback by this sudden show of affection, laughed it off in his usual modest way. "Oh, no one wants my emotional baggage," he joked, trying to keep the mood light. As he drove away, Matt was engulfed by a strange, unfamiliar feeling. The warmth of Carol's hug lingered, and her words echoed in his mind. It was a moment of introspection, a realization of the impact he had on those around him, and perhaps a hint of longing for a connection that went deeper than friendship. Meanwhile, back in her room, Carol lay in her bed, staring up at the ceiling. The events of the evening had left her in a contemplative state. The conversations about art, the insights into each other's thoughts, and the unexpected emotional exchange had stirred something within her. She found herself pondering over her feelings, the nature of her relationship with Matt, and the complexities of the bonds within their circle of friends. Chapter 6. It was a Friday evening unlike any other for the group of friends at Lincoln High. After a week filled with its usual routines and a few unexpected turns, they decided to reconvene at the local amusement park, a place brimming with their shared memories. To everyone's pleasant surprise, Mary, having completed her scholarship applications, joined them, bringing a sense of completeness to the gathering. Mary had offered to pick up Carol, but Carol informed her that Matt had already offered a ride as he was swinging by the garage with her. The group reunited at the park, their spirits uplifted by the presence of all four friends, especially Mary. The evening was a delightful mix of laughter, thrill rides, and nostalgic recollections. The amusement park, with its vibrant lights and sounds, provided the perfect backdrop for their reunion. Mike, always keen on trying new activities, invited Carol to join him for axe throwing, a new attraction at the park. Carol, intrigued by the idea, agreed, leaving Matt and Mary to catch up. As Matt and Mary strolled through the park, they noticed an affectionate couple nearby. Mary, with a hint of annoyance, whispered to herself, "Go get a room already." Matt found her reaction amusing and playfully teased her. "Are you jealous, Mary?" Mary, caught off guard, quickly became defensive. "Oh, please, like I have time for boys," she retorted, her tone a mix of jest and seriousness. Matt chuckled, then said with a playful smile, "Hey, I'm a boy." In a moment of warmth and spontaneity, Mary hugged him. "You're not a boy, Matt. You're my friend," she said, her voice soft and genuine, treasuring the bond they shared. Unbeknownst to them, Carol, accompanied by Mike, glanced over and saw this exchange. Mike, observant as ever, noticed the subtle change in Carol's expression. "You good, cuz?" he asked. He could sense a complexity of emotions in her eyes, a hint that perhaps her feelings for Matt were deeper than she had let on. As the evening approached, and the sun cast its golden hues over the park, they started to go their separate ways. Carol, whose car was still at the garage, planned to head there with him. Mary, initially set to head home, suddenly paused as she settled into her car. A realization struck her. She had brought a gift for Carol, a thoughtful gesture acknowledging her artistic talent. Hurriedly, she grabbed the beautifully wrapped package and rushed out of her car, hoping to catch Matt and Carol before they left. Her heart pounded with a mix of anticipation and an unknown anxiety. As Matt and Carol settled into his car, Carol turned towards Matt, her expression reflecting a mix of gratitude and seriousness. "Matt, I really appreciate all you've done for me. You're a terrific friend, and I'd hate to do anything to spoil this," she said, her voice laden with sincerity and a hint of caution. Matt, sensing the gravity in her words, listened with anticipation. His breaths quickened as he awaited what Carol was about to say next. The air between them was charged with an unspoken question, a moment teetering on the edge of friendship and the possibility of something more. As Mary approached Matt's car, she witnessed a moment that would redefine her understanding of her own feelings. Through the window, she saw Matt and Carol in a deeply personal exchange. Their eyes met, and in an impulsive, tender moment, they leaned in for a kiss that spoke of burgeoning feelings and mutual understanding. Mary, standing a few feet away, felt a surge of emotions she couldn't immediately place. The sight of Matt and Carol together, so intimate and connected, stirred in her a sense of loss she hadn't anticipated. It dawned on her that her feelings for Matt were more than platonic, feelings she had pushed aside in pursuit of her academic goals. She had always assumed there would be time for relationships after her studies, but now confronted with this scene, she experienced a profound sense of regret. Retreating silently, Mary clutched the ungiven gift, now a symbol of a friendship evolving in a direction she hadn't foreseen. She walked back to her car, her mind a whirlwind of emotions, confusion, longing, and a deep sense of what might have been, but now it was too late. Chapter 7. The following Monday, the usual routine of riding the bus to Lincoln High had a different undertone for the group of friends. The aftermath of their evening at the amusement park had subtly altered the dynamics among them. As Matt boarded the bus, his cheerful hi was met with a mix of responses. Carol, feeling a bit self-conscious and unsure about her own emotions, responded with a hesitant smile. Mary, still processing her own feelings, deliberately avoided eye contact. Instead of burying herself in her books as usual, she chose to gaze out the window, lost in thought. In his signature style to lighten the mood, Mike decided to inject some humor into the situation. Turning to Matt, he joked, "Hey, Matt, how do you say you love fat girls in French again?" Matt, slightly surprised by this sudden question, replied with a mix of amusement and exasperation. "First of all, it's Latin. And second, that's not what I said, Mike." Not missing a beat, Mike playfully teased him further. "Oh, so you think you're too good for plus-sized people? Huh. Just wait till Mary becomes president. You're all gonna have to start pulling your weight in this country," he said, his tone one of mock seriousness. Matt, now realizing Mike's playful intent, chuckled and shook his head. "Oh God, Mike," he responded, smiling despite himself. Seizing the moment, Mike jumped out of his seat and began a whimsical, weight-themed spoof. I have a dream that one day small girls and big girls will gather at the pizza place where the sign reads free at last, he proclaimed, his voice filled with dramatic flair. The bus burst into laughter, the atmosphere instantly lightened by Mike's antics. Mary turned from the window, her mood visibly brightened, while Carol laughed, her earlier concerns momentarily forgotten. Mike's impromptu performance not only entertained but also served as a much-needed icebreaker, dissipating the earlier tension. His ability to bring laughter and levity to any situation was a gift that often held their group together. As they stepped off the bus, Mike swiftly passed by Mary, throwing a cryptic comment her way. "Guess we don't always make our own fate, huh?" he said with a smirk, his words hanging in the air like a riddle. Mary, caught off guard by Mike's remark, paused in her tracks. Her brow furrowed in confusion, and she turned to watch Mike stride away. She pondered over what he meant, his words echoing in her mind. The reference to fate was not lost on her, especially given her recent comment about making her own destiny. Mike's mysterious words left Mary wondering what he knew or what he was implying. It was unlike Mike to be so enigmatic, and this unusual departure from his usual straightforwardness only deepened her curiosity. The usual murmurs and shuffles of students filled the auditorium as they waited for the announcements to begin. The headmaster took to the stage, and the room quieted down. Among the various announcements, one in particular stood out. Carol's artwork was to be featured in a prestigious art show in the city. This news was met with applause and cheers from the students, but none were as proud and elated as Mary, Matt, and Mike. Mary, who had been somewhat withdrawn lately, waiting anxiously for her own scholarship news, took this opportunity to step out of her shell. She joined in the celebration, genuinely happy for Carol's success. The smile on her face was a welcome sight to her friends, who had missed her usual spirited presence. After the assembly, the group congregated around Carol, showering her with congratulations and expressing their excitement. "Carol, this is incredible! Your art is getting the recognition it deserves," exclaimed Matt, his eyes shining with pride. Mary added, her voice filled with sincerity, "I'm really proud of you, Carol. This is a big deal, and you've earned it." Carol, overwhelmed by the support, thanked them. "Thanks, guys. It means so much to me that you're all happy for me. I hope you can all make it to the show." Amid the bustling hallways of the school, they reaffirmed their commitment to support Carol on her big day. "We wouldn't miss your show for the world, Carol. We've been through good times and bad together, and this is definitely one of the good times," Matt declared, his voice full of conviction. Carol looked around at her friends, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thanks, guys. It means everything to me to have you all there." "You've all been such a big part of my journey," she responded, her voice tinged with emotion. Mary, momentarily forgetting the cryptic words Mike had thrown her way earlier, chimed in, "We've always been there for each other, no matter what. This is no different. We'll be there cheering you on, Carol." Mike, joining in the chorus of support, added, "Absolutely. We're a team through thick and thin. Besides, I wouldn't miss an opportunity to see Carol's art take the spotlight." Their promises and words of encouragement were a testament to the strength of their bond. They had indeed seen each other through various challenges and triumphs, and Carol's upcoming art show was another milestone they would experience together. Chapter 8. As the days slowly passed leading up to Carol's significant art show, the dynamics within the group subtly evolved. Carol and Matt, having shared moments of connection and understanding, found themselves in the midst of a budding relationship. However, they chose to keep this new aspect of their bond under wraps, not yet ready to reveal it to their friends. Mary, who had inadvertently witnessed a moment of intimacy between Matt and Carol, grappled with her own hidden emotions. The unease she felt in their presence grew, but she kept her discovery and her feelings to herself, adding to her sense of isolation. Matt, observant and sensitive to the changes in group dynamics, couldn't help but notice a difference in Mary's behavior. She seemed more distant, her usual focus replaced by a quiet introspection. Concerned, he decided to seek her out during lunch, finding her in an unexpected place. Watching the football practice, a spot where she was seldom found. "Never took you for a football fan," Matt commented as he approached her, trying to gauge her mood. Mary, surprised by his presence, tried to brush it off. "Just needed a change of scenery," she said, her tone light, but her eyes avoiding his gaze. Matt sat beside her, sensing there was more to her words. "You sure everything's okay, Mary? You seem—" Mary hesitated, then deflected. "It's just the scholarship results." "They're weighing on me." Her response was partly true, but it was also a convenient cover for the turmoil she felt about Matt and Carol. In the quiet corner of the football field, Matt and Mary's conversation took a deeper, more intimate turn. Sensing her anxiety, Matt gently probed, "Why do these scholarship results mean so much to you, Mary?" Mary took a deep breath, a sense of vulnerability in her eyes. She then revealed a part of her life she rarely spoke of. "I had an older brother," she began, her voice tinged with a mix of sadness and resolve. "He was incredibly smart, the pride of our parents. They had big hopes for him. But for me, they always said my pretty face would take me further than my brains." Matt listened intently, a look of surprise and empathy dawning on his face. Mary continued, her gaze distant. "He died of a drug overdose years ago." "Oh no! I'm so sorry," Matt said. Mary continued, "Sometimes I feel like my parents wish it had been me instead. So now I have to prove to them and the world that I'm more than what they see. I need to show that I'm capable, even if it means pushing myself 10 times harder." Matt was taken aback by her heartfelt confession. This revelation shed new light on Mary's character, her drive, and the pain she carried within her. The Mary he thought he knew, always strong and focused, suddenly appeared in a different light, one marked by loss, determination, and a struggle for recognition. Feeling exposed after sharing such a personal part of her life, Mary quickly tried to regain her composure. She urged Matt, "You should probably go and do some boy stuff, like watch football or something, instead of sitting here listening to my problems." Wrapping his arms around her with a warm hug, Matt said, "I'm not a boy. I'm your friend." Matt's words, though spontaneous, hung in the air, charged with an unexpected significance. For Matt, the phrase evoked a strange sense of déjà vu, as if he had encountered this moment before, yet he couldn't pinpoint its origin. It was a fleeting, puzzling sensation that left him with an unsettled feeling. For Mary, however, the impact was immediate and profound. The echo of her own words was a stark reminder of the limitations she had placed on their relationship, limitations that now felt like walls of an emotional prison. It was a heartbreaking realization that the boundaries she had once deemed necessary were now the very things that confined her feelings, feelings that had grown and evolved beyond her initial intentions. Abruptly, Mary's composure broke. "Oh no, I've lost track of time. I really need to go," she stammered, her voice tinged with a sense of urgency. Without waiting for a response, she quickly got to her feet, eager to escape the intensity of the moment and the turmoil of emotions that Matt's proximity had stirred within her. Matt, taken aback by her sudden change in demeanor, watched in confusion as Mary hurried away. He was left standing there, trying to piece together what had just happened. Her abrupt departure, so out of character for the usually composed and focused Mary, left him filled with concern and bewilderment. As Mary walked away, her heart raced with a mix of emotions: regret, longing, and a sense of loss. The physical distance she put between herself and Matt was a desperate attempt to regain control over her feelings, to put back the walls that his hug had momentarily brought down. Chapter 9. The evening atmosphere at Carol's art exhibit was electric, filled with the vibrant energy of anticipation and the buzz of art enthusiasts mingling. A light rumble of thunder in the distance hinted at the possibility of incoming rain, but it wasn't enough to put a damper on the evening. The gallery was adorned with intriguing pieces, but it was Carol's artwork that held a place of honor. Matt, aware of how important this night was for Carol, had arrived early to lend his support. His efforts to dress up for the occasion did not go unnoticed. "You really dressed up for tonight, Matt. Looking sharp," Carol observed with a grin as he approached her. Matt, offering a modest smile, replied, "Thanks, Carol. But honestly, you shine without any extra effort." As they engaged in light conversation, Carol confessed her nervousness about the upcoming commentary and question and answer session. "I'm feeling really jittery about speaking in front of everyone tonight," she admitted, her hands fidgeting with the hem of her dress. Matt, standing beside her, offered reassuring words. "Your art is incredible, Carol. Just speak from the heart. You'll do great." Their exchange was interrupted by the arrival of an influential figure in the local art scene. He praised Carol's work for its uniqueness and brilliance, expressing a desire to meet with her to discuss potential mentorship. This unexpected opportunity left Carol momentarily speechless, her eyes lighting up with excitement and disbelief. Meanwhile, Mike, ever the entertainer, arrived in grand style, donning an elegant suit and affecting a humorous British accent. "Good evening, fine ladies and gentlemen," he declared, striding in with exaggerated grace. Carol couldn't help but laugh. "Mike, I didn't know you could look so civilized." Mike, still in character, responded with a playful bow. "For you, Carol. Anything. But remember, it's a one-time performance." As the evening progressed, the absence of Mary became increasingly conspicuous. Matt and Carol made several attempts to contact her, but their calls and messages went unanswered. With Carol's question and answer session drawing near and growing concern for Mary's uncharacteristic silence, Matt felt torn. "I think we should check on Mary," Carol said, her voice laced with worry. Matt, though disappointed, nodded in agreement. Braving the rain, Matt drove to Mary's house, his mind racing with concern. Upon arrival, he found her in her bedroom, tears streaming down her face, clutching a rejection letter from the scholarship committee. "Mary, you're one of the brightest people I know. This doesn't change that," Matt consoled her, his voice gentle. Through her tears, Mary revealed a deeper anguish. It's not just about the scholarship, Matt. It's feeling like I'm never good enough, especially for reasons I can't control. I'm truly sorry, Mary. I know how hard you worked for this, Matt acknowledged, sincere in his tone. Attempting to uplift her spirits, Matt suggested, "Come on, let's go back to the exhibit. It'll take your mind off things." Mary's response was sharp, driven by hurt and misplaced jealousy. "You just want to go back to Carol." Matt, taken aback, began to respond, "Carol. Well, we've all been looking forward to her big night." But Mary cut him off, her voice sharpening with a mix of hurt and accusation. "Is that why you never told Mike and me about your relationship?" The question hung in the air, a direct hit to the secret Matt and Carol had been keeping. Matt was momentarily stunned, his expression a mix of surprise and confusion. "Please, Matt." "I saw the two of you kissing in the parking garage," Mary declared, her words laced with a sense of betrayal. Matt stumbled over his words, trying to find a way to explain. We didn't mean to keep it a secret. We just wanted to find the right moment to tell everyone," he stammered, his defense sounding feeble even to his ears. Mary, however, was past the point of wanting explanations. Her emotions were a tumultuous mix of rejection, grief, and heartache. "You know what? It doesn't even matter. Go, leave me alone," she insisted, her voice breaking. Matt stood still, processing the implications of her statement. The realization of Mary's underlying feelings, a mix of jealousy and unspoken affection, dawned on him. He was momentarily speechless, caught in the complexity of their friendship and the emotions that had been simmering beneath the surface. Seeing Matt's reaction, Mary regretted her words, but the emotional dam had already broken. Matt, struggling to find the right response, said softly, "Mary, I've always cared a lot about you. When you made it clear we were only friends, it was hard, but I had to respect your boundaries. I told you to leave me alone, Matt. Go." "Just get out of my life," she insisted as her rage grew. "You don't mean that," Matt said, stepping towards her. In a moment of raw emotion, Mary lashed out, "I hate you." She hurled a vase in his direction, her frustration and heartache reaching a breaking point. As Matt quickly left the room, the vase shattering on the doorpost behind him, Mary's voice dropped to a whisper, laden with pain and unspoken love. "I love you." Left alone in her room, Mary grappled with the weight of her revelation. Not only had she lost the scholarship, a symbol of her academic aspirations and a means to prove her worth beyond her beauty, but she had also lost any prospect of a relationship with Matt. The realization that her feelings for him were deeper than she had allowed herself to admit, compounded with the knowledge that he might never see her in the same light, was a bitter pill to swallow. Outside, the rain continued to pour, mirroring the storm of emotions she felt inside. The exhibition, which should have been a moment of joy and celebration for her friend, had become a backdrop to her heartache and the realization of what could have been, but now would never be. Chapter 10. In the months following the tumultuous evening of Carol's art exhibit, the dynamics among the four friends had irreversibly changed. The bus rides to Lincoln High, once filled with laughter and lively conversations, now bore the weight of unspoken feelings and altered relationships. Each morning, Matt would board the bus and offer a polite hi to everyone before taking his seat beside Carol. His greeting, once a signal for the start of their daily camaraderie, now served as a reminder of the distance that had grown between them. "Mike, usually the source of humor and light-hearted banter, found himself subdued, affected by the palpable shift in the group's dynamics. He responded to Matt's greetings, but refrained from his usual antics, sensing the change in atmosphere. Mary, for her part, remained silent, her attention buried in her books. The interactions, or lack thereof, on the bus were a stark contrast to the days of their untroubled friendship. She was deeply immersed in her studies, her scholarship rejection and the pain of unrequited feelings having driven her to focus more intently on her academic goals. As time passed, Mary's dedication paid off. She won another prestigious scholarship and left town to pursue her dreams. She never returned, but her journey led her to remarkable success. She became an environmental specialist, known for her expertise and commitment to sustainability. Her achievements eventually led her to hold a government office, and she made numerous television appearances, advocating for environmental causes and inspiring others. Matt and Carol, having navigated the complexities of their relationship and the impact on their friendship with Mary and Mike, built a happy life together. Married and blessed with children, Matt found his calling as a counselor, helping others navigate their emotional and personal challenges. Carol continued to pursue her passion for art, gaining widespread recognition and success as an artist. Mike, ever the loyal friend, eventually took over his uncle's garage. He ran it successfully, turning it into a thriving business. His humorous nature and kind heart made the garage more than just a place for repairs. It became a community hub where stories and laughter were as common as the sound of tools and engines. From the shared rides on the school bus to their divergent paths in life, their story is a testament to the enduring impact of friendship, the pain of growth, and the beauty of new beginnings. Each found their own way, carving out a life that reflected their individual dreams and aspirations, forever shaped by the time they spent together and the lessons they learned along the way.